Thanks, Goose. For over a decade, the Tropico series has offered up quality city building with a totalitarian twist, letting you create your own sun-drenched dictatorships to run as you see fit. But does Tropico 5 rule with an iron fist, or will we need to call for a revolution?
Let's start with the basics for those who may be uninitiated in the ways of tropical despotism. While this may be a very accessible sim, they've certainly crammed a lot of detail into this.
Yeah, one of the first things I noticed is that every single citizen is an individual with their own name, age, family and political views, home, education, job, desires. You name it, the game tracks it.
And you can't just sit back and rake in the taxes either. You have to build up a fully functioning economy. You start with just the humble beginnings of farms and ranches, then eventually developing the big earners like mining, manufacturing and tourism industries.
I think it's clever how everything feeds into each other as well. So if you want to start distilling rum, you'll need some sugar fields first. And you can't forget a high school to educate your workers to run the machinery. Safety first, Barjo.
Yes, indeed. There's a healthy dose of politics to worry about as well.
Presidente, Tropicans await elections next year. They wish to show their everlasting love and respect for you.
People regularly demand elections, with multiple factions on your island that all need to be appeased in order to win.
If they aren't happy with your work, they'll vote you out and it's game over.
The unthinkable has happened, Presidente. We have lost the elections. A devilish combination of the global economy, the Illuminati, bad weather...
You can also take the total despot route if you prefer. And I did. Just initiate martial law.
I am so furious. I cannot believe what just happened.
Deny them any elections and build up an army to protect your regime from troublemakers. Your dear Supreme Ruler Barjo knows what's best for you all anyway, and if you disagree, I crush you.
I like to play the benevolent ruler and have an open, honest government. It's really satisfying knowing that I've won an election based purely on the love and respect of my fellow Tropicans.
The election results are in. Let me be the first to congratulate you, Presidente.
It can be so engrossing. There's all these different systems layered on top of each other that you just want to poke and prod and improve on.
Yeah, it's a total time sink, and all those political options give it just such personality. Well, that and the tongue-in-cheek humour and the Caribbean music.
I love the music so much. It makes me not take the game as seriously as I think I should be taking it. That's all the basics. Now for the new stuff. One of the major shake-ups is that you can now set up trade routes which open up a lot more freedom in how you run your economy. For every dock you build, you can assign a ship to either export your goods at above market prices or import them.
It means you can rely on a much more nuanced import-export economy, so you don't have to worry about everything collapsing once you've mined out all your resources. It's a great addition, but it does highlight one of Tropico's weaker elements: infographics. Where SimCity really nailed it was in all those beautiful graphs. Here, not so much.
I know, and it's such an important part of the game. There's only a few basic overlays, and most of the details are hidden away or just not there at all. So while you can set up everything to run off imported goods, there's nowhere to see how much you've stockpiled.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, isn't it? The first sign that you've run out of something is when you see a building is already run out. And it doesn't do much for your popularity when the uranium your nuclear power plant needs dries up and plunges your island into a blackout just before an election.
But now when things do get out of hand, there's an uprising or invasion, and troops and tanks actually fight it out in the streets. It's all out of your hands, and troops just duke it out automatically. So if you haven't built up a big enough defense force, then no strategy is going to save your dynasty. But it's nice to see that battle play out.
Yeah, speaking of which, you do actually have a family dynasty now.
Your family's rather rollicking love life has led to an unexpected pregnancy.
As you play through the campaign, you unlock extra family members who can designate to become the next Presidente. They can also be used as managers in buildings to give them some perks, or be sent off as envoys on various missions.
As my father used to say, ignorance is bliss.
This doesn't really add much, to be honest, but it's fun creating a little eccentric gang of tyrants.
The campaign has a pretty different structure now. There's a linear story to follow where you work your way through several eras, starting off in the colonial era and moving up through history into the modern day.
Yes, and each era brings with it new factions and drama to deal with, both domestic and abroad.
On my command, Multiple nuclear devices are at this moment being deployed throughout the world.
As well as new technology and buildings to play with.
Missions generally have you trying to focus on one kind of goal. So you might have to try to funnel cash into your Swiss bank account, or build up your tourism industry, or a nuclear program. They're a fun challenge, and there's always a constant stream of mini objectives to work towards.
You also have 2 islands which you switch between as the story progresses. Each time you go back to an island, it keeps all of the buildings and changes you've made throughout the campaign. And I liked that because it gives a nice permanence to your emerging nation, and it's a nice little story to work through.
Another big addition comes in the form of multiplayer modes. You can now build up an island cooperatively with up to 3 others, or even take them on in some head-to-head dictating. You all start on the same island and can either share resources or declare war on each other. It's an interesting addition.
Yeah, but it does feel slightly strange too. City builders are typically quite a solitary experience, and there's a lot of sitting around just waiting for cash to roll in, so this multiplayer isn't exactly the most thrilling experience out there.
I know what you mean, but it's quite nice if you've got a few friends you like to play with. Another thing they've changed is the way mining works, so rather than having resource-rich patches of land, there are simply cliffs around the place with pre-made mine shafts. I'm not sure if I'm such a big fan of that though, because there are cliffs everywhere and they make a huge part of the map inaccessible, and it just starts to make things feel cramped after a while.
I didn't mind that so much, and the maps were at least a lot larger than they were in SimCity.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think overall, Hex?
Well, I happily lost many hours building up my little banana republic, so I'm giving this 8.
Yeah, I think they played it pretty safe with this one, but it's still one of the better city builders around, so I'm giving it 7.5.
Now, Barjo, it's been ages since we've tackled the Good Game inbox, so I think we should go answer a question.
Sounds good, Hex.